Right, grade 9s, let's mark what would have been your classwork. Right, so if you have a look at 1A, this is exercise 8.15. What I've done in red is I've gone and done what should be your first step. Did you take every single one of these in 8.15 and instead of distributing the exponent of 2, you have to write out the bracket twice. Now I would just do my distribution, so I'd get a squared plus 2a, and then I'd distribute again, and I get plus 2a. As we've started to notice, the pattern is the middle terms are the same thing, plus 4. Finally, my middle terms are like terms, and so I get a squared plus 4a plus 4. Now, to be honest, if you can do one of these, you can do the rest because they're all the same thing. So a times a is a squared minus 3a minus 3a plus 9. And then finally my middle terms, so a squared minus 6a plus 9. And so we go on. X times x, x squared, 4x, another, oh sorry, do you see I made a mistake there, it's plus 4x, another 4x, and I'm afraid I've run out of space here, let me, plus 16. Sorry about that, ran out of space. Like terms, x squared plus 8x plus 16. Okay, moving on. X times x is x squared minus 5x. Now I'm going to stop changing color because it's fairly obvious. Minus 5x plus 25, which gives me x squared minus 10x plus 25. Don't forget every time that you're multiplying. So x squared minus 7x minus 7x plus 49. So that's x squared minus 14x plus 49. Next, 2x squared times 2x times 2x is 4x squared minus 6x minus another 6x plus 9, which like terms make 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Okay, on to our next ones. 4y squared plus 10y plus 10y plus 25, which would give me 4y squared plus 20y plus 25. So each of these are exactly the same thing. Once you can do one, you can do them all. You just have to keep your wits about you. 4x squared plus 6xy, now this is an xy term, plus another 6xy plus 9y squared. So if I add my like terms, I get 4x squared plus 12xy plus 9y squared. Now I'm just going to erase that so I have more space. Okay, last one in this row, that is 9a squared, multiply minus 6ab minus 6ab plus 4b squared, and then my like terms make it 9a squared minus 12ab plus 4b squared. Okay, and the last three, p times p, p squared minus 4pq minus 4pq, notice I put them in alphabetical order always, plus 16q squared. The reason for the alphabetical order is that then you can see who the like terms are. So this is minus 8pq plus 16q squared. Okay, now the last two are the only ones that I'm going to do a little bit more slowly because they involve fractions and we tend to freak out. So, if I zoom in here, oh, that didn't work well, so let me zoom out again. Okay, so here I've got x times x, that's the easy part, that's x squared. Now I've got x times a half. Now this is exactly what we were doing in our notes. So x times a half is a half x or 1x over 2, doesn't matter how you write it. And then I've got another half x, so another 1x over 2 or a half x. And then lastly, a half times a half, top times top, bottom times bottom is a quarter. So my like terms, well, a half plus a half is 1. So I get 1x, or just x, plus a quarter. Okay, now finally my last one is probably the most difficult. So I've got x over 2 times x over 2. Now don't forget it's top times top, which is x times x, x squared. Bottom times bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. Then x over 2 times negative a third. Well, first of all, that's negative. And then top times top, x times 1 is x. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, fortunately, as per the pattern we've seen, the middle term is also x over 6. And then lastly, it's a negative times a negative, which is a positive. Top times top is 1, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now, all I need to do is add my like terms, which isn't too bad here, because x squared over 4 is not like, and 1 over 9 is like. Now, they never once said that you weren't allowed to use a calculator. So this is minus 1/6 and minus 1/6. You can just use a calculator. But minus 1, take away another 1, because they have the same denominator, I get minus 2/6 x. Now, the only problem is 2 over 6 is the same as 1 over 3. So I should then go and simplify this to x over 3 or 1 over 3x. And sorry, I forgot my plus 1/9. So you just got to be a little bit more careful about fractions and use your calculator to help where you are unsure. Okay, so all of that exercise was about squaring a binomial. And once you've done all of those, you've practiced binomial times binomial and the idea that you can't distribute. Now, these next 4 questions were simply a binomial times binomial, but the reason why I've given this to you is because of the next lesson you're going to do. What I wanted you to notice here is that when you did x times x, you got x squared. Then you said x times 1, and you got x. And I want you to notice that, guess what happened in the middle term? You then got minus x, and then minus 1. And so my middle terms land up being identical, but with different signs, which means they cancel each other out, which means I actually land up with x squared minus 1. Now, this is new to us because every other question we've ever done has been a binomial times a binomial, which makes a trinomial mostly. Now, this is the first time that our middle terms are going to cancel. So if I do the next one, a times a is a squared. Then it's plus 8ab. And then, what do you know, the very next one is minus 8ab, so that middle term is going to disappear, and then minus 64b squared. So this is going to be really important in our next lesson, and then when we do our next topic, which is called factorizing, is recognizing this pattern. Do we notice that our middle terms are cancelling, and can we see why they're cancelling? Okay. Next one, 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Then I have plus 2xy and minus 2. Let me change color. Oh no, that's a bit green. Minus 2xy and then minus y squared. And once again, my middle terms are identical but of different sign, and so they cancel each other out. Okay, lastly, just a fraction one specifically chosen because it's fractions. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Now, 2 times a half is 1. So this actually just ends up being with x. And then this is minus, but a half times 2 is also 1, so just minus x. And then minus a quarter. And once again, my middle terms are cancelling. And I'm actually landing up with a binomial. Now, why is this happening every time? This is what we're going to do in our very next lesson. But at the moment, why is it happening every time? I hope you've noticed that every single one of these questions had identical brackets, except the sign was different in each bracket. And that's going to be really important to us in the next lesson, and then at about 3 or 4 lessons time as well. Okay, well done. That's lesson 1 done.